So, Seth, how would you define discipline?
I define it as a practice of training to obey rules or a code of behaviour and using punishment to correct disobedience. How would you describe it?
I'd describe it as a control order exercised over people, children, prisoners on the military. So, watching the necessity for rules for discipline are, like the necessity for rules and regulations are, why we need them.
I think that we need rules and regulations is to keep everyone in order, kind of like a type of discipline. And if we break them, we'll be punished. And the punishment will usually be enforced by public services such as the police. They also limit the powers of public services, as it restricts the police to have to use reasonable force when being confronted rather than just using as much force as they wish.
Yeah, and without them rules, there will be no order, so there might be that the police won't really have an effect.
What about rewards?
Well, rewards are sort of discipline as it will motivate people to do the right thing or do what they've been told to do in order to obtain that reward. For example, like in the army, personnel may get extended leave or to keep their privileges, such as TV and the breaks.
Why do orders need to be followed?
We need to maintain orders. If we had no hierarchy, there would eventually be conflicts in order to become the leader, leading to anarchy and chaos. Thus, order is maintained with discipline, which is carried out differently by different public services. Maintaining order could also mean controlling riots. For example, the police have to stop the riot from becoming violence.
Yeah, and without order, there would be everyone would argue with power.
Yeah, why do you think we need punishments?
Punishments. I think it plays a big role in punishment because discipline isn't really a thing about punishments because you're not inclined to follow rules if you're not going to be punished by them. So that's one reason you need punishments for that. Another reason is because without punishments or discipline, it wouldn't really be like strong for motivation like the army. Say like you get a drill sergeant who's commanding a squad, they're not going to follow his orders and that if he's not going to give them any. You know, that's like just not there.
So consequences of a lack of discipline could like mean you're holding your group back. For example, if you're in the army, if you're doing an exercise round, then they might mean that your whole team has to do the exercise again. And also they could, army personnel, they could be sent to Colchester depending on what they did. And it could also mean in the police, your pay could also be that. And what about anarchy?
Anarchy can, if there's too much like too little discipline, really. If there's too little, everyone can do whatever you want, whenever you want, and get away with it. But if there's too much, people will probably get sick of it and rebel against it. Like in the Egyptian riots, there was too much discipline and it led to large riots, which then meant armed forces had to be brought in as protection and an enforcement kind of force. What about the role of discipline, more team spirit?
Team discipline, they will unite a team in a way. It's like they'll be focused on one purpose or goal, as it's like practically being drilled into them in some ways, like, such as the army. They ought to complete their exercise drills correctly and they'll push each other in order to make it correct so they don't have to do it again. What about serving the public, James?
Serving the public role is, but I think that's important because you're like, it's kind of discipline kind of sets the rules and laws for the police themselves or anyone who does serve the public. So you can use, when using discipline, you've got to know when to use the right amount of force, when it's stuff legal. You've got to be able to discipline yourself to know these things. So it's important to use that then. For example, it's like when you're arresting a criminal, they've got to say like why they're arresting and where they're from, like you need to go wisely. Important to use that. What about sense of duty and the role of discipline?
A sense of duty and honour kind of leads into discipline, as the public service will want to complete a job regardless of the situation, and they'll want to complete it effectively and to the best of their ability. Kind of like the fire department, where the firemen or women are more in danger, but still carry it out, even if it's like the fire is huge.
Yeah.
What about rules, procedures and policies?
Or with rules, procedures, policies and legislation, discipline is needed in order to keep rules set in general and within the service, such as the Armed Forces Act 2006, which provides all personnel to be tested for alcohol and drugs. This means that personnel in the army cannot be intoxicated whilst on duty. What about code of professional standards for the police, James?
That's kind of like I was saying with duty and honour. The code of professional standards is everyone serving the public service needs to be taught self-discipline and how to interact with the public. So in the police officers will get confronted by probably anyone that comes with toxic of drugs, alcohol, or to be generally violent, and need to be able to handle that. So, would you agree with it?
It's the same as you recently.
Code of professional standards. You can't need discipline as you want to stick to it and you want to look presentable. As the police are required to stick to it. Such as a uniform and on duty. They don't want it all scruffy. So,
Sure. I think that's about it. Anything else?
Do you say people because service to your colleagues, what about discipline to service your colleagues? I think that's important because you got to remember sometimes, like, especially in the army, for example, if you get punished, it's not only you, it's your colleagues who are getting punished. So it's important that you like work hard for yourself and for them. Because you don't want to get yourself punished and then as well as them not doing anything. Anything else?
You got anything else, sir?
I think that's it.
That's about it.
So why is it that discipline plays an important role in the various public services?
So that employees do the job properly, maintain order.
Without them, they're not really. I mean, without discipline, like the public services, what's to stop them not doing the job properly? Like, you could be like a complete abuse of power.
If there was no discipline in the public services, then there'd be no discipline in the public. So then there'd just be a lot of anarchy.
Like, why should we follow laws if like the police or the army or the ambulance won't follow laws themselves?
There'd be no monarchy, since people would have no need to follow it.
They won't be obligated to just follow power. Because if they're like the role models in their society aren't they doing it, then it feels like why should they do it?
It'll just be like the shortest one going powerful, will be regardless of what, and then they accept any rules they want.
James, you mentioned abuse of power. What legislation are you familiar with that prevents police, for example, abusing their status?
Police and Criminal Evidence Act, that sets like the guidelines for what police can and can't do. So they have different codes in that, which like sets out like arresting, like like private articles, looking stop law. That's kind of like I couldn't stop and say Zach was driving, or I couldn't just stop him for just being like the driving because I think he's got some kind of reasonable grounds for stopping him, which is one reason why police need to have discipline, so you can't just abuse the power like that.
Well, the police can do more than that, but it's like the public. The police can do it if they have suspicion of you, where the public can only do it if they've seen you in the act or after the act.
That's a follow that whole last stage.
Okay.